Hello there, gentlemen.
Hello, hello.
Your camera's off. I don't know if you know that, if that's on purpose or by accident.
Almost on purpose.
That's fine. What's up, sir?
Hey guys, how's it going?
We can put bets. Who comes on last, Mr. Kiefer or Mr. Brenner?
I'm taking bets. It's Mr. Brenner.
I predict Mr. Brenner sends me a text message in 30 seconds. What's the link?
Yes.
Hey, Mr. Sell, how are you, sir?
I'm awesome. How are you?
Good to see you, man. I'm great as well. Yeah.
Good.
Happy Tuesday.
Happy Tuesday.
Yeah,
I just got done like moments ago doing a live safe training for the county. Got my county shirt on. It's pretty cool. We've got a contract with Sac County, so it's been a while since we've done them. So it's kind of nice to get one going again. COVID kind of kicked it out a little bit, but so
Well, that's
forever to
cool.
jump through the hoops. Yeah, it's cool.
I was surprised I didn't get a phone call to talk through the notes of like how to run one of those. You were able to handle it on your own.
You would have been the guy to do it, no doubt about it. You've been around a long time and know a lot.
Yeah, I'm sure. Yeah, I'm sure. Mr. Sell, I was sorry to hear about your father.
Oh, thanks, brother.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's
absolutely.
been a tough year, for him. And as sad as I am, and as much as I miss him, I'm happy that he's in peace, if that makes sense.
Absolutely. Yes.
Mr. Kovar, I gave him your dad's book, and he read about 4 chapters.
Wow. Very cool.
Because my grandfather, his dad was also a POW in
Wow.
the same war. And so, I told him about the book, and he's like, yeah, I want to read that. So, I picked up his things the other day, and it was there.
Very cool. Yeah. Yeah. It's like my dad, as you probably know, passed last summer, and as much as it was sad, and of course he died a lot older than yours, so different circumstances, but I'm so at peace with it. People would say, are you okay? It was like, I was so blessed to have him for as long as I had him, what I'm saying? And and what's ironic, I don't know how much you videotaped your pop, but I've got so much video of him. I feel like he's still around. He pops up on my news feed from 3 years ago.
Awesome.
All the time. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, he moved in with us 6 years ago. So we
Wow.
saw him every day, and we took care of him, right, for 6 years, and taught the kids how to fish. And,
So
he
cool.
went on family vacations with us. So it's almost like that 6 years we packed in so many adventures. You know what I mean?
So cool. Yeah. Yeah.
So,
Yeah. So you have those great memories. Yep.
100%.
Hey, Mr. Kiefer, we were taking bets on who's going to be on first, you or Solomon Brenner, and we bet you would beat him, and we were correct.
I felt like I set you up
You're a winner.
with my 229 message.
Yeah. Well, so somebody owes us some money. We didn't bet anybody though, did we? Oh,
We
darn
did.
it.
We did it.
And I could use some extra money. That's for damn sure.
I was ready to be on at 2:15. I was
yeah.
like, no,
Do you still have money left in Voyager, Mr. Sell?
Yeah, about 126,000.
Did you vote for yes to the I placed my
Yes.
vote a couple of days
I
ago.
want my money, but you know what? They're not giving me 126,000. They're giving
Yeah,
me
it's
like
50.
88,000 or something like that.
Yeah, what I read was 51%. Now I think it'll be 0% personally, but
Yeah, I'm
they're not
not,
an actual bank, right? So they're not insured.
no, and
Correct.
that was part of the whole like controversy. Like, they made it seem like it was FDIC insured. Fun fact, it's not.
Fun
There's no
fact.
class action.
Yeah, fun fact. Hello, Mr. Brenner. Mr. Brenner, you made us all some money today.
I'm glad I was the last person here.
Last person.
I was on at 227, but it just kept spinning. And then I saw the Facebook message and I was like, oh, maybe I'm in the wrong link. Or is this just your regular link?
This is not the
This is
regular link. This is a special link just for us VIPs.
All right. Well, nobody told me that. I was on at 227, just like waiting and waiting and waiting.
So Michael said this exact thing was going to happen. He knows you well.
Yeah,
Sounds
see,
like
I'm not even really
excuses.
needed in this conversation. You can just say what I'm going to say. Yeah. Yeah.
Adam, did I just see you came back from Vegas or something?
I guess then Mexico, and then I leave for Nashville tomorrow.
Nice.
All
Fun vacation, work.
Mastermind, work/vacation, and then mastermind tomorrow.
But according to the IRS, it's all work.
Yes, absolutely.
We'll be on Zoom, I'm sure. Amazing. All right, if we want to take a second, Mr. Sell, this was your idea, so thank you, sir. Let's share this on our personal pages. We'll get some more good eyes on it. Right now,
I
it's
think
just-
Mr. Sell's background is the best background too. I feel it's like the background when you go to get your photos taken at like
At Sears.
yeah, I was good. I felt like Sears is going to be an insult, so I was trying to think of something else to say, but yes.
next week you need like the sweater like wrapped around your neck, and like each day get a little bit more 80s.
It's a good
Perfect.
idea.
Anybody's gonna be 80s-ish, I feel it's me.
Well, I bet you I have more Bruce Lee figurines behind me than you guys do behind you right now.
I would agree with that, bet.
I have
Mr.
more Notorious B.I.G. stuff than anyone, I think.
I have
Well,
some.
I'm moving into a new house in 10 days, so all my stuff behind this is just boxes of crap. So,
Well, congratulations on your new house.
hey, thank you.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Mr. Brenner, I don't want to distract you, but I think you have like a eyebrow filter on right now. I don't know if that's on purpose or by accident, but it's super entertaining to watch on my side.
I don't know how to get, that's funny.
Yeah.
How do you think I get rid of
So,
that?
so far, the comments from our conversation are what's happening with Mr. Brenner's eyebrows. Not joking. Had a couple text messages.
Yes.
How do I get, I don't know how to get rid of that.
I don't know, maybe you just turn your camera off. We'll go from there.
No. That's great. You look very handsome.
If he turns it off, you just see two floating eyebrows then.
Maybe there's my regular eyebrows that are, just need to be trimmed.
No, they're not. But anyway,
Nope.
It's in a constant state of surprise.
Obviously, I don't have any. Obviously, I don't have any apps. Like I don't. Like I'm clicking on apps and stuff. I don't know what this is.
yeah.
This is awesome.
But
Yes.
as
Why
al-
is it me? Why is it me?
that was actually what we set up. Whoever shows up last gets funny eyebrows. So that was the yeah. Sorry, sir. Anyway, while you're fixing your eyebrows, anybody know what?
I don't know how to fix.
It's okay. We're moving on, sir. We're moving on. Anybody know what Moore's law is?
Look, the eyebrows on my arm now.
I know. You're about to get. So anyway, so Moore's law. I was talking to a friend of mine who he's a VP for like a giant like tech and like innovation company. And the
Like
idea.
doubles every 5. Wait, stop. Is it doubles every decade or every year or whatever? The
Yeah, you're-
doubling.
Yeah, you're on the right track, sir. Of course, you know what it is. So it's every 2 years. So
Surprise.
yeah, exactly. So the idea is that the technology world, a capability doubles every 2 years, and it happens across a bunch of different industries, healthcare included, where healthcare capabilities double, about every 2 years. And what's interesting now is he was explaining to me, it's almost like feeding off each other. Like the innovations in tech affect healthcare and vice versa. So it's actually like quadrupling every 2 years, which is just wild. And one of the techs he was telling me about that, truly is like science fiction, is they're working on putting like tech into clothing, like super like microscopic, like in the fabric. And one of the techs, not like, hey, they're thinking about this, they have this, is cloaking capability, like to actually make you invisible. And I was like, no, like, what do you mean? Like they're thinking about it. He's like, no, this exists. Like there's a bunch of applications they'll use for like outer space and like, underwater exploration, and of course, like military applications. But anyway, kind of my segue with this is I think it's super interesting. You have these companies investing stupid amounts of money into cloaking technology. And on the same time, if you turn on the news, all the talk is recession. Either we're in a recession or we're about to be in a recession or it's happening already, whatever. So I'm curious, I don't know anybody more than the 4 of you that talk to more schools around the country. What are you saying? Like, you think it's true? You think it's affecting anybody? It's not affecting anybody?
A recession or the new cloaking geese to make all.
I assume Century is working on cloaking geese. So yeah, that'll be awesome. That'll be good for retail. No more the recession.
Supply chain issues though. Yeah, recession. I don't know. I hear it more from financial people right now than anyone else, specifically like Robert Kiyosaki, who's like, it's like the worst. He keeps preaching to be like the worst depression we've ever seen type of thing. I don't know. I just believe like there's the economy and then you control your own economy. And if you have reserves built up and you've been making the right financial and money decisions, then the economy has less effect on your economy. But from a school owner standpoint, I don't see like panic or anything or people too worried about it yet.
I kind of feel like, to just back cap on what Mr. Kiefer said, is just kind of what's out of our control is out of our control. And it makes me want to double down to make sure my product is better than ever. So when people are, let's just say the unemployment grows up to 15%, that means 85% of the people are still working, right? That's one way of looking at it. And I'm not saying I do it, but I'd like to think we try to be so valuable that when mom and dad are sitting there thinking of where they're going to cut corners, not only do they not cut corners with us, but we don't even make the list to be considered. That's in a perfect world. And so that's what's in our control. and I also concern, like, I like to pay attention to what's going on in the world, but I also know you can go down a rabbit hole and all of a sudden it's got your mind warped and you're thinking from scarcity and you're thinking different. And all of a sudden you're kind of creating that reality to a certain degree. So I think who knows what the future brings, but I know that I just got to double down and do the best darn job I possibly can do and get my team to do the same thing. And then let the chips fall where they may, and, have good, a cash management, all the other stuff that you need to do.
Back in 2009 or 2008, can't remember the housing collapse, if you guys remember all that. And, back then, everybody, it seemed, was a realtor. I mean, like everybody in the school, like half the moms were realtors, and just like there was, thousands more realtors than probably Tampa needed at the time. And there's this one realtor that was my student. And I'm like, I see all these other realtors just like giving up and quitting, but yet you guys are thriving. I mean, I've seen, all the stuff. She goes, yeah, when something big like that happens, we just double down on our efforts. So we start creating deeper relationships with our, prospective clients and our old clients. And, when people think of who's the best realtor, they know us because we have that deep relationship with them. And so, that was just one of the turning points, I think, in my own school, where I was like, man, I'm just going to, no matter what the future holds, I'm just going to double down on that. Right. So instead of waiting for, the recession to hit, why don't we just double down on, building better relationships, on our marketing, on our retention, on, just giving a little bit more. So if anything does happen in the future, we've got that taken care of.
Good stuff, Mr. So I just want to comment, when in that point, Michael St. John was in like grade school when that happened.
You're right on.
I was the year
Okay.
2011, 2009. I don't know, I was like 20. I was out of grade school.
We were buying Countrywide.
That's true. That's true.
How much lower could it go? Oh, it can go to 0. Got it.
Yeah.
I called Michael during that time, and he was obviously already had his retirement set up, and he'd been investing probably for 4 years at that point. And I was like, this Countrywide is almost at 0. It can't go any lower. We should invest in this. And turned out it can go lower. It can actually go to 0.
Yeah.
That was like when I decided. Anyway, I think it's 50-50. The only reason I think it's not going to happen is I'm a huge believer when everyone, in the financial world is talking about something and they're all convinced it's going to happen, which I feel like all the podcasts and all the things that I listen to and the newsletters, they all say, recession's around the corner. I always think when everybody's saying it, it's not going to happen. It's somehow we skip over it. And I read something from Goldman Sachs recently that said that they think it's a 50-50 shot, which I think is an awesome prediction. It's 50-50. So, they'll be right either way. So I do think the bigger issue is going to be, like in our world, that the karate schools that aren't set up financially properly, and and they are, we all had such good years in like 2021, whether you got like government money and your school didn't really do that bad to begin with. It was like this like banner year, and I think it's just going to get harder and harder and harder. And if you're kind of lazy or you don't have the right systems, it's just going to be a disaster for you. And the great thing is your ego can say, oh, the economy, what do you want me to do? And you can tell your family and friends it's the economy. And that's where I think it's sad for people, but I don't know. As far as investing, I always invest the same amount no matter what. And I know that Mr. Chamberlain, Mr. Kovar's partner, he's predicting a depression in 2030, I think. Is that right? 2029? Which gives me tons of anxiety because I'll be right, closer to retirement age. I don't think I'll retire, but that's what I've been mostly thinking about. Like, all right, I'm always invested 100% pretty much in the market. So I'm always like thinking, all right, maybe like 2028, I should get out of this. And after the pandemic was like 100 years from the last one, I was thinking maybe it's 100 years from, 1929 was the last real depression. Maybe I need to get out like in 2028 or yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so for anybody that doesn't know what Solomon's referring to, an economist that Mr. Chamberlain follows for, I've heard Mr. Chamberlain shared this at a ProMac, Mr. Kovar, 10 years ago? I mean, this is super old, but the idea is that the 20s are the roaring 20s, the 30s are the depression all over again. And everything's cyclical and, all the things, who knows if this economist is correct, but based on, his research and his track record and what he's looking at, yeah, 20s are great, 30s, not so hot.
I think the last 3 years or 4 years that he still sends it to me. He's been pretty close. Like I look at the old ones and it's pretty close to being accurate.
Yep.
Yep. And plus, we're at the, we're at the debt ceiling, which we're always at the debt ceiling, but it just seems like logical that at some point you can't keep spending money without having it. Like at some point, like, only the government gets to just keep doing this. So I do worry, like, I agree 85% of the people still working. But, the depression, people were standing in bread lines.
Absolutely. Well, what gives me confidence, because it's scary, is that my father, who was a child of the Depression, right? He grew up in the 30s, and his dad was out of work, and his mom had a part-time job cleaning houses, and they lived on cabbage soup for like 3 years, right? And so he brought, although as optimistic as he was, he had this fear, going back forever, to where when he passed away, I inherited like 400 pounds of grain and dried beans, and that he's been keeping for decades. It was like when I was a kid, let's buy a bunch of shoes right now that'll fit you in a few years because the sky is falling. So he was worried about this back in the 70s. And so I share that with you because, crisis in the Middle East, high gas prices, debt ceiling. That was me watching the news with my father in 1972. Right. And so, not that it's not real and it could happen. It's just that we've managed to dodge a bullet before. And I'm hopefully we'll find a way to navigate through it to where it's not a full on depression.
Well, the flip side is plenty of people made a ton of money in the Depression.
Well, you have to be prepared for that. You're right. But if you're fully invested, like for me, like if you're fully invested in everything, you're just going to take it. If I don't sell, then it'll be fine, of course. But if like karate goes down, real estate goes down, the market goes down, then what happens?
So the question for you guys, do you guys think the dollar is going to survive the next 10 years?
I definitely think that Bitcoin if that's where we're going, is not, like, to me, I don't understand the use case for the Bitcoin. I think I understand what it is, but I'm not in it at all. I have zero belief in it. And everybody that I know does not believe in it. So
what about gold and silver?
I went through a little gold, buying gold for a little while. I still have it, but I don't know.
That was my dad's big thing was gold and silver. And traditionally, and by the way, I feel really funny. I'm a martial artist talking economy, about the economy. I don't
still had a life,
totally, like I'm not qualified, but one of the things is traditionally silver was 10% of gold throughout history. And now it's about now it's like 2%.
35
so the theory is that eventually silver will catch up, and the other thing about gold versus silver is gold the government could actually take from you in hard times. Silver it can't. That they can request that. So that's supposed to be
who says they? I'm just curious. Who says they can't?
So what you're supposed to no, the idea is that like when you invest in silver, you invest in actual silver coins that actually have it's like the actual coin that has currency value.
Exactly.
So the government can't, I guess the government could do what they want to do, but in theory, they can't actually take your money. Like they can take like the gold bar you have, because it's not like the gold bar is not a $10 gold, a $10 note. So the idea is you always buy like the coin value of it.
Don't they have to know you have it first though?
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
Wait, you want to talk about that? You want to talk about the platinum coins? I found that.
I don't think. Did I send that in our chat about like in our chat, like the $1 trillion platinum coin? Has anybody heard of this?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So for anybody watching that doesn't know, the idea is it's a backdoor bailout that I think the president can do. Like if Congress doesn't get its act together with like increasing the debt ceiling, it can issue $1 trillion coin, which I imagine like a coin the size of the White House being rolled down Pennsylvania Avenue and like in a vault somewhere. I don't think it's quite that, but like everything I read about it, it was like, oh, this is the most bonkers idea. And the fact that they're even like saying this could be a thing just shows like how wacky everything is right now.
I know. I'm going to start buying real estate with this $1 trillion roll of tape. It's like the same thing. It's like exactly the same thing. I'm just making up a value.
Hey, good news, Solomon, is that your eyebrows are barely noticeable anymore.
All right. Well, now they just got worse.
Doesn't matter. They show through your
in the
hand.
recession.
Yeah, that's good. That's actually how you should.
During recession, men with big eyebrows are very attractive to very wealthy women. So that's good.
$1 trillion eyebrows.
So, okay. So speaking of 2023, let's say we're not in a recession, or we are, what are our predictions for what's happening in the industry, over the next year, the next few years?
Who wants to go first?
Ooh, I think I think the foundations are going to be pretty much the same. Like you need to still have strong systems, the right people, all of that. That's going to be the backbone regardless. I see tech becoming more involved in 2023, and hopefully I can help push that along a bit, but just in, I don't know, making it a more of an interactive experience, and even maybe an out of martial arts school experience where they're still interacting with the school in a sense via tech, whether it's through games, apps, whatever it is. I think that's going to be part of it. Hopefully, I hope people start pushing that way, but if not, I want to help sort of lead that charge. I just think we have to meet kids where they are now, instead of where I think our industry falls back to the 90s. I don't know if that's just because I was raised in this industry in the 90s, or maybe I fall back to that. But I think a lot of what we do sort of defaults to that era, I think. And like even with life skills and all that stuff, we always sort of fall back to the same terminology that we've always had, instead of actually looking at, well, what are kids dealing with right now that's different than it was 10, 20, 30 years ago? Like when we were kids, did this many kids suffer from depression, or was it just not talked about as much? And I think part of it is just helping kids to cope with today and succeed and thrive in today, instead of just going back based on what we learned when we were younger. But I think also just making a pivot in the sense of, hey, let's focus on what's relevant to kids today instead of just doing the same old things over and over again is going to be a key in growth, I believe.
That's awesome.
Yeah, we had was it 2 weeks ago, Solomon? Last week, one of our instructors, now she was like the head of what was the nonprofit she was in charge of, Mr. B? Do you remember? It was all about like mental health, Miss Lisa.
Oh yeah. Like Nomi or something.
Anyway, she did an amazing presentation for our team, all about kind of like mental health awareness and like really focusing on like kids and teenagers, and some of the stats on exactly what you talked about, Adam, kids with depression and suicidal thoughts. And I mean, right, was it just not reported 20 years ago when we were kids, or 30 years ago? Or is it more of an issue now? But either way, just like so like interesting and scary. And, at the same time, like we have this amazing opportunity to, really make an impact that, we might not have thought of before.
I think part of it is dopamine wasn't as easily accessible as it is now. Like everyone gets the dopamine hits off their phone instead of actually like accomplishing something or pride a lot of times. And I think that's part of the reason why it's probably more prevalent now.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, I think that, what you say, it's so important that we have to stay relevant. And this is something that I wrestle with. And that is because, we all kind of get set in our ways, and we've been doing something a certain way for a long time. And it kind of go back to the one of the spirits of Bushido, and that is Shoshin. It's just beginner's mind. And that's the ability to kind of look at what's going on. And I know that it's something that we continue, and I continually struggle with, because my default is, this is the way we've always done it. That's worked before. And that can be really dangerous. You've got to balance it with there's strong foundational principles that are always going to be there, but regardless, we definitely got to meet the kids where they're at. But I also think that we are, as you guys all know, I know you agree, is that we are uniquely positioned in a situation to where we can have more impact than just about anything. And the more technology gets, more what part of daily life, the more human interaction is going to be needed to counterbalance that. And that's where we can come into play. And I know I'm preaching to the choir, but the world needs what we have. So now it's just a matter of making sure that we do whatever we can to meet them where they are, so we can bring them in. I don't know what that is, but it sounds like some really good stuff you're working on.
Amen to that.
So I think the future is already here, and I'm sure you guys all think the same thing. Like, it's already here. We just, in our industry, oh my goodness, it's just not. Why did I stop this? It's just not. Am I still here? I can't have the phone rings. What am I supposed to do about it? It's just not. It's not like in our industry. Like when I go take a class at like Barry's Boot Camp or Soul Cycle, the place is so ridiculously beautiful. You book your stuff online, you reserve your class, all that stuff. It's super convenient. And so I think like we're in a little gap right now, but those businesses have all been around for, I don't know, a decade, or maybe a little bit more. So that those people are going to start having children, and they're going to expect that same experience, for their kids' activities, right? Like they're going to be like, the way that we do it, they're going to think is bonkers, because, they're going to expect like a very pretty building. They're going to expect, the applications, and they're going to expect everything else that goes along with that. So I think it's not hard we don't have to like invent the future or predict it. It's already there. We just have to get the people that are in their, whatever the people in their 20s are doing now, eventually get I heard once that said, like, if you want to predict the future, just see what billionaires are doing, and that's eventually what you'll get as the future. And, one of the examples they used was, if you're a billionaire, you had a chauffeur. Well, we have Uber, right? Like, so it got democratized down to us. A billionaire gets food delivery. You don't see, I'm sure Elon Musk isn't going to the local, like supermarket. Well, I get food delivered now, like from, whoever. So like, whatever somebody really wealthy is getting, we're eventually going to get the exact same thing. It just takes time to get that. And I think the way it's going to happen, like all of the billing companies used to have like tons of like consulting and stuff, and somehow it all went away. Like, like ASF had their thing, and I don't know, Member Solutions, and like they've asked us like how to set it up again. I just think they're just trying to do it. Most people that run those places are from before.
Yeah.
Right, like, so they just want to do the same thing over again, and like I'm trying to tell them that's not going to work. Like, there's already better things out there, so they can't do that. They need to, they need, what's up?
So
No, there are,
smart.
right? Like, so they just want to do it the old way, right? So, and I'm like, no, you have to do it. This is the way it has to be. And I think it's going to go towards, I think it's actually going to go kind of the old way, but better. I think the way it used to be with like EFC, you pay 10%, right? But you got like all this consulting, and I think it's going to go back to that. I think some of the smarter billing companies are going to be, they're going to have like their regular kind of like self-billing, because that's where like everybody rushed to. But cheap is cheap, right? So you get what you pay for sometimes. I think if you're going to want like, like kind of like all the extra stuff, it's going to be kind of combining like what kind of consultants do now, or maybe like a franchise does now, with the billing company, and they'll charge 10% again or whatever. And in the smart schools will grow like 3 to 5 schools. They'll make way more money. They'll help more, whatever. So that's what I think will be the easy transition. And that's what we're talking, but it's hard to like anyway.
So it's funny you say that, because there's a lot of franchises right now that are also the billing or the collection for their locations. So
Yeah.
they're collecting the percentage on the billing on top of a royalty, on top of a 1 or 2% marketing fee as well. So they're essentially already collecting the 10% across the board, and doing that model in the fitness industry. I just don't think we've fully seen it in martial arts yet.
No, but that's exactly what it's going to be. I mean, the issue is we've been asked many times, like, oh, create your own software. It's like too much work. Like, I see how hard Mr. Sell here works. I know he's got like 2 boxes at like the big theater or whatever, but he works too hard for me.
It is.
I don't think you need to create your own software though. As long as you can get, like, if you're the person running that, you can still get kickbacks from the whatever processing company, because I know
we get offered that all the time. And here's my issue with this is a whole nother topic that maybe just we should discuss, but I feel like if I get kickbacks from the franchise side, I feel like we're not on the same side. Like, I know we can, but I feel like I'm negotiating against them then. Like, we get significant, and that's the other thing, like, all of our people get like significant discounts from all the suppliers.
Sure.
And if I said, oh, well, give us 20%, but I'll take 10, they get 10, I'm negotiating against them. And like, and I know I would make more money that way. And I know like Premier did that, and I'm not and all the big sellers of franchises that, have been like hoarding us are like, oh, you have to do that. You have to do that. You have to do that. I'm like, yeah, I get it. But like, when I read all the books of like the most successful franchise in the world, they don't do that. You have to be on the same side as your people. You got to, like when I negotiate a price for a t-shirt, it's got to be that everybody gets it, not like I'm getting some. And if that's just my philosophy of it, and it's very difficult for me to think any other way.
So
And
I
that's
think,
okay.
yeah, it's got to be disclosed in the FTD anyway, right? So I
Yeah,
think
they say
if
people
you,
don't care. They say when people are buying it, they'll compare your franchise to ours, and yours is at 7% and ours is at 8%, but you're taking, 20% from Century and I'm not. But they don't notice that because it's like kind of like cake, built in, right? It's just like, I just think from I want to be like in business with them. I want to think of them as partners, not as, but I get like plenty of people do it. But
yeah,
yes,
I agree with you. I'm just playing devil's advocate.
I want to argue with you. I think it's great. I want to mostly
So,
argue with Mr. Party, so unargumentative.
Yeah, so I don't know if I'm even allowed to say this, but like when I was at I Love Kickboxing, they had to deal with Century for all their boxing gloves as the #1 supplier. So we knew what they were paying for the boxing gloves, but then we also knew what they were selling them to franchisees for as well. And every franchisee at the end of the day knew that there was like a drastic markup on boxing gloves, and they were required to go out with the trial. So I think there's got to be flexibility for the franchisees or for the people to at least be able to dictate some of that stuff and not be forced into just making sure corporate makes more money.
Without a doubt, yeah, I mean, yes, I think, personally, I'd rather be totally transparent, everything up front. It is
I
what
agree.
it is. And I'm gonna do my best to make sure that you make a ton of money by having the right processes and negotiating for Century, for Asian World, for, we just got uniforms for half what we were getting them from Asian World because Asian World just jacked it up and we didn't realize it for a couple months.
Mm.
And they say, oh, supply chain, blah, but like, too bad.
Anyone else think it's funny that supply chain and like pandemic are still excuses for everything?
Oh, I think it's gonna last.
I get that it probably is, but like, it's not my problem anymore. Like, okay, my responsibility is to our people that they're successful, not, I can't worry about like these other issues. All right, I think we're off topic. What are we supposed to be talking about? So anyway,
Yeah,
I think the smart building companies are going to figure out a way to like infuse the proper consulting like it used to be. And I think schools will start, and the smart schools will realize it's not about new students, it's about new instructors. That's really the situation.
Mr.
Ron,
Sell, you didn't share your 2020.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I think the future is bleak for some of the schools out there that, haven't been an A+ school. I think that if there is some sort of financial pressure in the marketplace, I think that those schools are going to fall like they did with COVID, and some of the ones that barely made it through COVID, I think, unless they up their game, big time with relationships with their, the way they teach, they communicate, those type of things. But I think that like we saw during COVID, how, I saw in Spark, thousands of schools in Spark actually did better during COVID than before. And I think it was because, everybody was like, oh shit, what's going to happen? I better do something. And they took, way more action, even if it was imperfect action, because a lot of people didn't know how to, run Zoom. Now we're all experts at it, but, a lot of instructors didn't know how to be animated in front of a camera without, people cheering them on in class, so they really had to learn a whole bunch of stuff really quick, and they had to take massive action, and they did really well. So their businesses increased, right? We also saw a lot of schools that unfortunately went under, right? I think the same thing's going to happen if we have, any kind of, terrible financial stuff happen in the next couple of years. But the good news is the schools that are amazing and do well and do, impact their communities, I think they're going to see a big uptick as well.
Ron, can I ask you what you feel like the future of tech is for the industry, since you're on that forefront?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I'd love to,
Driving the bus,
you intrigue me with some of your ideas, and I'd love to talk about that. I mean, this weekend, both of my boys had the flu. I didn't get it. I think my immune system is impervious to all that stuff, but, and I'm sitting here pulling out my laptop and learning what the newest technologies are coming up in the future. I love that stuff. I also think that if you go too fast with technology, you go out of business. And the reason why is because 4 times now I've created products that if it was 5 years later, I'd have made a whole bunch of money. But since I was 5 years before anybody even understood it, I just lost a whole bunch of time and stuff. Right. So I think, when it comes to technology, you got to implement, but I don't think everybody should be rushing out right now to put ChatGPT or whatever inside their schools. You know what I mean? Like, there's got to be some time for people to catch up to that stuff. But yeah, I'm interested in hearing what you're thinking on your mind, because I know you think pretty far in advance too.
Yeah, I got some good tech ideas. We should team up on some of them.
100%.
Is anybody
Have
using ChatGPT? That was my next question. Anybody using it yet?
All right, I was going to go that route too. So we're like testing it in like 87,000 different ways, to the point where like I've using Zapier to set it up in the back end, where like we're testing with a dummy account. It's not like a live account, but where if someone emails a question or something, GPT will automate 3 responses in a draft, and then you just go in, you choose whichever response works the best, delete the other 2, and send it to respond. And I would say it's pretty damn accurate. And then on the legal and accounting side, I was asking a whole bunch of different questions, and I sent the responses to my attorney and my accountant, and I was like, how accurate are these? And the attorney looked at like the first like page and a half I sent him, and he's like, this sucks. He's like, I would almost say this directly word for word the same way that the AI responded. And the accountant was like, this is not AI. And I was like, no, this is AI. This generated all of this. And it's interesting how accurate it is. I know the copyright side of it is still sort of a gray area at the moment, specifically on the AI art side. The other thing that's crazy is one of the masterminds I was at earlier this month had a guy pull up his laptop and he's working on his own open AI, like sort of, I don't know, offshoot. And we built an entire website, every single page in under 5 minutes, just by filling out a form on the site. And it grabbed images, it grabbed everything. And it was like fully loaded website design in 5 minutes, like specific for the fake company we made up to just do it. So there's some crazy AI stuff coming out. I think a lot of people are going to jump on without testing it though, just because it's cool and it's fun to play with and shiny object syndrome. For us, we're doing more testing than actually using it in real cases. We are testing it as social posts right now with one of the services we offer, just to see if engagement is higher or lower or the same. But I think right now is a good testing period before you're just using it to take over your company.
Yeah, it runs our meetings now. Yeah, one of our schools used it a couple weeks ago for they were just promoting like a karate camp, and like he typed in a theme of the camp and like, you know, give me 2 paragraphs. It was like, all right, get it down to 1 paragraph. By far better than anything we could come up with. Like that's just great. Yeah, 100%.
What legal questions did you ask, or what accounting questions?
So accounting, I was asking about corporate structure, because one of the things that we teach our clients to do is create a separate LLC for their personal expenses and their salary to go into, just for that extra layer of protection. So I was asking primarily questions around that to start with for the accounting side and how to structure it, what's the best way for Arizona, like all this stuff. And it was just like spitting out like bullet point answers over and over again. And I found out too with ChatGPT, if you tell it to act in a certain role or a way, it's more accurate with the response it gives. So I would just ask it and it would give a response. But then if I said, act as an accountant in Arizona, and then I would ask the same question, it'd be a more specific response as a result. And we're seeing that too with like email copy and sales copy. We say, hey, act as an internet marketer, or hey, write this as if you were Frank Kern, and then ask it a question. It'll be more similar to whatever you're asking it to write. It's pretty crazy.
I knew
Can we
Cecil
get a
Sullivan.
Starbucks one here? Can we get that as like our 6th person? And it can, like,
Yeah, I was
Giving
gonna
better
say,
answers than all of us.
when you email me documents and say, as the legal team review this new system, let's send it to this guy thing.
Yeah, well, I think it could actually save people money because they can have it draft. Like we were testing like drafting an NDA to see how close it was to the one that we got from like our attorney, and we have very expensive attorneys, and it was pretty damn close. And I was listening to, I think, Hormozi's podcast, and he was talking about how one of the attorneys he works with said it's about 95% accurate right now with what it's spitting out, which is pretty crazy. But it saves you money because then your attorney's not drafting the whole thing. You can draft it there, send it to him, be like, hey, can you make tweaks on this or edit it? And it's less time being billed for.
sometimes I've like played with it a little bit. Sometimes I go and it seems like it's like filled up or something, like, you know, like it's not working right now. Does that ever happen to anybody else?
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
especially after Microsoft invested in it.
The 59 billion.
You know, they got to 100 million users faster than any other software in history. 5 days. That's
So
insane.
I have
And
a
it started out as a nonprofit.
Yeah.
I have a question that I'm guessing a lot of our listeners are wondering, as am I, because I've been hearing about this, but where would someone go? Let's say I didn't know where to go to look into this. What would you tell me? Like, I have no idea. Where would I go to kind of play with this?
So it's OpenAI is the company. If you just Google ChatGPT, it'll be the first thing that shows up. And then
They
it's
have really good
it's totally
SEO.
free right now, which is also insane.
Very cool.
Well, it's supposed to be like the future of Google kind of thing. So maybe they'll monetize us.
Well, Microsoft owns it, right? So I think Google's a competitor now, technically, or Microsoft is an investor.
Right. No, but I'm saying it's supposed to be like, we're supposed to go ask that question. It's like now we Google everything. The idea is, well,
Oh,
let's
yes.
ask that question,
Yeah, agreed.
is what the idea is. I think Google has something similar. It's like deep learning, blue deep learning or something. I mean, the whole thing is like bananas. I mean, it really is like, what's the movie with Arnold Schwarzenegger?
Terminator, RoboCop.
Yeah, it really is. Yeah, like, yeah. They've already had, I don't know if you guys saw this, but Google did a thing where they had AI and the two computers actually like took over each other somehow, and they like had to like legitimately unplug it. Like it was like too crazy.
Very calming.
When
When's
you
Spark
were,
gonna teach our classes for us, Ron?
I know. Well, we're working on right now on mopping mats and cleaning the windows, the mirrors in the dojo. So
There you go.
no, this chat.
Once we
GPT
nail that,
will
then
never
we'll
stoop
move
that
on.
low. It's more like a white collar worker.
So that was the other thing that everyone was predicting AI is that it would take over all like the blue collar jobs first, like manufacturing, construction, all of that. And that would be like higher level jobs later. And it's almost the opposite at this point.
Of
Where
course, it's the opposite. It's the thinking jobs. Who's gonna bang a hammer? Somebody's gonna bang a hammer. Somebody's got to turn around.
Robotics is still AI.
Yeah, but you're not going to get that. I think that's hard. I guess like a robot. I mean, you're going to have a robot come like do your plumbing in your house. I guess it's possible.
That'd be crazy.
I'm in for a robot plumber. That's fine with me. Whoever,
Well,
whoever wants to fix it, that's not me. Sounds great.
Is the contractor in your house right now?
No, Wayne was here. But our robot Wayne would be, Wayne is our contractor. A robot Wayne would be way more efficient.
You could flip houses so fast.
Yeah, for sure.
What's our other questions? I feel we.
That's it. Oh, we didn't share what if we want to share in the last 6 minutes, and then we have a hard stop. What are we all investing in 2023? Kind of continuing our 2023 theme. I think I'm going to invest in ChatGPT.
Yeah, for real.
Seems good.
The rich guy, like Elon Musk was one of the original investors. Like everybody thinks of him as Tesla and the rocket ships, but he has the the Starlink, and he has Neuralink, and he has this. It's like so wild. And I'm sure other things we haven't heard of. So what's everybody investing in? I apologize, I derailed us.
Well, real estate for the first 6 months of this year, along with, normal stuff. I'm still doing crypto.
So
As a matter of fact, I'm up a little bit. I'm pretty happy about it.
Up relative to like last year's losses, or up relative to January 1st?
So it's from yesterday. Okay.
I was like asking how my Tesla stock is doing right now.
Oh, don't go there.
I'm businesses and real estate this year. Those are my two focuses.
For me, it's always the same. I just invest, like dollar cost average in. We're always doing real estate anyway. And of course, more karate schools.
Yeah, so for me, it's business, real estate, and some time on the market. And this last couple of years have been pretty hard for me in that area. But I know as long as I don't pull it out, I'm okay. So theoretically, I haven't lost any money
Which is
yet.
the opposite in others. Forget it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sorry.
Oh,
Sorry.
says the guy with the eyebrows.
Question for everyone: what's everyone's best performing stock at the moment since the market's so awesome?
Is that a quiz? Do you know the answer?
No, I'm saying personally, what's your guys' best performing stock at the moment? Like mine
Great
right now,
question.
F45 and IDEX Laboratories are like the two that are my best performers at the moment. F45 surprisingly good, like surprisingly.
I don't really have individual equities. I'm totally like an ETF guy. So for I have no idea. Like I have like 5 ETFs. I just keep reinvesting. In the other side of it, in the angel investing, we have a company called Golo, which is just knocking it out of the park. They were supposed to sell when they hit 60 million in revenue. They're at $200 million in revenue. I'm not sure why they haven't sold yet, but they're doing great. But I have another company that was worth like 60 million, supposed to go to 100 million. Now it's worth, keep in mind, I don't know. Yeah, obviously, like whatever. Now it's worth like 20 million. I have no idea why. Like it's super confusing. And and I bought them before they went public. And the big excitement is going to go public, blah, blah, blah. And it went like downhill completely. So we'll see. But this Golo thing is awesome. I get dividend checks. Since Michael gets dividend checks. It's awesome.
Yeah, I think I'm waiting for a check there, buddy.
I know it all goes to my account and I have to distribute the checks. I know.
Yeah, quite a system. So yeah, Solomon's best performing stock is some of my money. Great job, buddy.
Any other
Oh,
questions?
that's smarter than I thought. Double return.
It's so difficult to invest, angel investing, like, it's very challenging. So anyway, it's, if everybody did it themselves, it'd be harder.
I would say it's as ridiculous as investing in crypto, but it's fun. Yeah, good waking.
It's fun when you start doing it, I think, because like you get to learn about these new companies and you seem like you're an insider, but then, it turns out that guy's an idiot and, it's not so good.
I have
Yeah.
one of those that I'm waiting 4 years on.
Yeah, I think we still have a couple that are sitting out there that, who knows?
That's correct. Who knows? Yeah. I mean, I was doing it like Shark Tanky. I mean, I was like, meeting every 2 meetings a month and, investing all the time. And I kind of, I think Mr. Kovar said to me, if you did all this work for the karate schools, you think you do better? I'd be like, yeah, I would, but it doesn't matter. This is awesome. Because, it's the new shiny thing. So it's like super exciting. And I'm in the room with like, everybody's wealthier and smarter than me. So I'm like loving every second of it.
That's things to do.
Obviously.
All right, well, gentlemen, we're gonna do our hard stop. It's been an absolute pleasure as always. We'll see everybody in 2 weeks.
That's great.
Have a great day, everybody. Talk to you
All
soon.
right.
Thanks, guys.
I'll
Good
get a
chatting.
breath. Thanks,
Have a
guys.
good one.
Okay, you all.
Fix your eyebrows.